Now, being a football connoisseur myself, it's a bit surprising that it's taken me this long to release any NFL content on this channel. Making NFL content is something I've always wanted to dive into. I've always wanted to, step my toes into those shallow waters and see if, it's something that I want to do, because, my channel isn't really got one focus. I mean, I make gaming content. I made one commentary video. I like to do that kind of stuff. So, why not throw in some NFL content? Considering football is one of my hobbies that I enjoy. Why not make content about it? And that's what this video accomplishes to do. We're gonna start that by talking about Dak Prescott as a quarterback. That is not even just Dak Prescott, the entire Cowboys as a team, and why I cannot stand the Cowboys fans. I cannot stand the fan base. The team, I wouldn't mind the team if the fan base wasn't so fucking just intolerable. I want to start by saying there is absolutely nothing wrong with sticking by your team no matter how good or bad they are. I'm a Bucks fan. I've been a Bucks fan ever since I started liking football. I like the Steelers, but I am a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. Always have been, always will be. Only really like the Steelers because of AB. That AB made me a fan of the Steelers, and then he became a fucking psychopath. But the Bucks are my team, and I have watched them be absolute ass apart from 2 years and last year. We were mediocre last year, but 2 years of my life are only 2 years I've got to watch my team be actually good. So, I know what it feels like to be a fan of a team that's just not that good. But it doesn't matter. You stick by them all the time, and you're always going to back them up. You're always going to believe in them, just like I do. I believe the Bucks will win the division this year. I still believe that top to bottom, we are a better team than the Falcons, even with them adding Kirk Cousins. But that's neither here nor there. What problem lies with the Cowboys is they're not just doing that. They're not just sticking by their team and hyping them up. What they're doing is, when the season starts, before the season starts, they're already, this is our year. I don't really hear that at the beginning of the years. You don't hear that going into the next season from Cowboys fans. You never do. You only start to hear it when the team starts doing good in the regular season against the cannon fodder. That is when you hear it starting to arise. That's when you hear it. And they're just so obnoxious about it. It's not that, hey, we're doing pretty good, got a winning record, we're alright. It's, whoa, we the boys, I told you about that, dude. Dude, you understand, dude. We are them boys. We're the Dallas Cowboys. We're going all the way. And this talk comes from them being like 5-2. They've beaten the fucking bottom of the barrel dumpster trash teams, and they've lost to the only two decent teams that they played. It's one thing to have unrealistic expectations for your team. I've certainly done it. Whenever the Bucks won the Super Bowl in 2020, I was like, yeah, we're going back to back. Nobody's stopping us. No one's stopping us. Ain't no way. We're going back to back. And then my hopes and dreams are crushed by fucking Cooper Kupp, fucking goddamn Rams. Destroyed my dreams with 3 points. With a kick of a field goal, my entire life shattered before my eyes. But it's really just annoying when it comes from the fans of a team that have been obnoxious for the past 30 years, knowing that their team for the past 30 years has done absolutely nothing. And, you should be even more embarrassed with the fact of the talent that the Cowboys have had over the years. And you still have failed to do anything with it. Tony Romo, not untalented, just wasn't a playoff contender. I had to come back because I forgot a couple of players. DeMarcus Ware, fucking Des Bryant when he wasn't a fucking potato. I mean, the Cowboys have been stacked offensively and defensively. This team is not untalented. CeeDee Lamb, great receiver. Micah Parsons, a little bit overrated, but he's not untalented. Dak Prescott is not untalented. But he's just not that guy. He's not the guy that you want as your franchise QB. And I don't think even the biggest Cowboy dick writer could tell you that. I don't see any Cowboy fans actually believing in Dak Prescott. That's one thing that they're actually realistic about. Except there's some glue sniffing ones out there that don't seem to grasp the fact that this guy is 2-5 in the playoffs and juices his stats against bad teams. But people with half a brain out there realize that. That's the good part. So it baffles me that they still believe that they still fall for their team beating these bad teams and making it into the playoffs and failing against either the first team or the second team. Here's an interesting statistic that I laugh at and I think of every time I see some fucking Cowboy fan dick writer in a fucking comment section somewhere glazing the shit out of their team. Here's an interesting stat. Since the year 2000, we're not even going to go all the way back to 1996 when they won their last Super Bowl. We're going to go to the year 2000. We're going to be kind. Since the year 2000, the Dallas Cowboys have, in total, 4, count them, they're all there, 4 playoff wins. I'm going to let it marinate for a second, would you? 4 playoff wins. They have not seen past the divisional round since 96. The Jacksonville Jaguars have been to more championship games in the past 30 years than the Cowboys have. The Cowboys are arguably not even the best team in their state anymore. The Texans had time to go from being ass cheeks to a legitimate team. And the Cowboys just stayed the same. Good team in the regular season, chokers in the playoffs. That is ridiculous. Let's talk about last season. Let's talk about the Cowboys and what they were able to accomplish and fail at last season. The Dallas Cowboys opened up the season opener, destroying the Giants 40-0. And then the next week, 30-10 against the Jets. Everyone's like, oh my God, the Cowboys, the defense is so dominant. Dak he's just throwing bombs out there. They're just too good. They're unstoppable. They're a team that just can't be fucked with. And then they lose to the Cardinals. And keep in mind, everybody forgot that for some reason, all the Cowboys fans, after all the Cowboy dick writers and everything, after they destroyed these two teams, if you can even call them teams, with Danny Diapers and not Aaron Rodgers, they beat these teams, and then they lost to the Cardinals. Everyone I guess it was a fever dream to some people because the entire NFL seemed to just forget that game happened, but whatever. They're 2-1. They beat the Patriots. Yeah, they beat the Patriots 38-3. Nice. That's not an accomplishment, whatever. And then this this was a test. This was a test. This was to show if the Cowboys were really them boys. And then they lost 42-10 to the Cowboys. To the 49ers. To the 49ers, they lost 42-10. 42-10. 3 wins, 2 losses. They are not looking like a Super Bowl contending team. Dak is not looking like that guy. They beat the Chargers 20-17. Wow, that is whatever. Okay, it's failing to resonate with me as to why people were so high on the Cowboys. And then they beat the Rams, which first okay team they've beaten thus far. Rams aren't a great team, but they're not bad. You know what? Give them that one. They beat the Rams 43-20. I'll give them that one. And they lost to the Eagles. The third decent team that they played, and 2 losses. 3 decent teams, 2 losses. What am I supposed to take from that? And then they beat the Giants again, 49-17. We them boys. They beat the Panthers 33-10. We them boys. Beat the Commanders 45-10. We them boys. And then they barely squeaked by a mediocre Seahawks team. Barely did it. Barely. Just barely. And then they beat the Eagles 33-13. Best showing of their dominance. That was the best game they played all season. That was like the best game they played all season. That is the only instant all season where you look like, damn, Cowboys actually. That's where all that shit that the Dallas Cowboy fans were talking. That is the only time this entire season that it holds up, because they beat. Everyone wants to say the Eagles are falling apart. They're still a talented team. They're still a talented team, top to bottom, roster to roster, offense, defense. They still beat them. I'll give them that one, 33-13. They earned that win. And then they turn around and get fucking destroyed 31-10 by the Bills. Thus far, they have beaten just mediocrity in one okay Eagles team. That's it. They've lost to the 49ers. They lost to the Cardinals, which people just blew off out of nowhere. Then they lose to the Dolphins, 22-20. Honestly, the Dolphins are the same fucking team as the Cowboys, just the AFC version. They're the same team. Beat bad teams in the regular season. Occasionally beat decent teams and then get destroyed in the playoffs. That's the Dolphins. And then they beat the Lions because the refs fucked up at the end. Whatever. It's a win that goes on the resume, but it's an asterisk. So everyone knows that. And then they beat the Commanders at the end of the year, 38-10. They go into the postseason as, the favorites against the Packers. Come on. They're not going to lose to the Packers. Jordan Love, really? I mean, they barely got in here. They barely won the division. We're them boys. At some point, what was there like a I'm pretty sure it was like a 41-16 lead in that game. I remember my dad, who's a Cowboys fan. I remember us watching the game, him getting up and leaving the room, refused to come back in until the game was off. But by halftime. All Dak has proven. This is all Dak has proven. He can play whenever his defense puts him ahead. He can juice his stats against bad teams in the regular season. And he can't perform whenever the pressure falls on him. He is 2-5 in the playoffs. He has beaten the Seahawks and the Buccaneers, who we didn't even belong in the fucking playoffs that year. We were 7-9 in 2022. We didn't even belong there. We had a fucking 93-year-old quarterback throwing the football. We didn't belong there. Going through a damn divorce. We didn't belong there. And they beat the Seahawks. They lost to the Packers twice and the 49ers twice. Dog, they lost to two teams twice. I mean, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like seriously. And I had to look it up. They lost to the Rams. Rams, Packers twice, 49ers twice. 5 losses, beat the Bucks, beat the Seahawks. What? He has good stats in the regular season, but can't perform in the playoffs? What does that make you? That makes you Tony Romo. That's what it makes you. And it would be one thing if his team was just ass and he was having to drag that team, having to drag them, like Dan Marino had to do with the Dolphins. Then I could give him some, you know, okay, it's not his fault. I could do that. But no, he's had talented teams, top to bottom. CeeDee Lamb is arguably the third best receiver in the league. Arguably. I say it goes Jetta, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb. Those are the 3 best receivers in the league, in my opinion. And I don't dislike Dak as a person. He seems like a good guy. He seems like a humble dude, down to earth. It's not his fault. It's the fans' fault. It's the people that hype them up in the middle of the season. It's their fault. I won't deny that Dak is a good quarterback. He is. Is he elite? No. And anyone that tries to act like it just ignores simple statistics and facts that have been in front of your face. And by the way, you want to say, well, they don't lose in the playoffs because of him. He does exactly what Aaron Rodgers did: disappear, either make boneheaded decisions or just disappear. And that's what Dak Prescott did. Aaron Rodgers, for the longest time, everyone was like, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault. He wasn't making boneheaded decisions. He has good statistics in the playoffs, but whenever you actually dive into it, you realize, oh wait, it's not that Aaron Rodgers was making his team lose by having bad stats. It was just the fact that he disappeared. He didn't make them lose and he didn't help them win. But if you go to both times he lost to the 49ers, it's on him. The one showing that he had in the playoffs that I said, yeah, he played his ass off was the first time against the Packers. That is his best playoff performance to date. Best. Easily. Best performance easily. I ain't even going to deny that he played his ass off in that game. That is Dak Prescott's best game to date. But the last time he lost to the Packers, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 300 or something. So it was either 300 or 400 yards, something like that. Though most of those stats the final score. What have you believe that the game was in the balance? The game was not as close as the final score indicates. It was a blowout by every stretch of the imagination. A lot of those points came within garbage time, and anybody can tell you that. Look, that's really all I wanted to say. It's just the fact that I am really getting sick and tired of every time the season starts and the Cowboys start doing good in the regular season and Dak has another MVP looking mirror. Everybody starts flailing their hands in the fucking air like a wacky inflatable arm flailing tube man. It just gets annoying. And that's what I like to say.